Hey, and welcome to The Office Field Guide. I'm Chris, and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. And today, we are looking at Season 4, Episode 6, entitled Survivor Man.
Skip around the room. Skip around the room. We won't? Okay, all right.
This one was written by our beloved Steve Carell himself and directed by the awesome Paul Feig, who's been absent from directing the show since Season 2's Email Surveillance. Survivor Man first aired on November 8th, 2007, was viewed by 8.3 million people, and currently has a shamefully low 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Come on, people, this episode is gold. If you don't agree with me, stick with me. The Survivor Man emoji sequence is up on the screen now, and today your trivia is, how many weapons does the episode specifically show Dwight has with him on Dunder Mifflin property on any given day? All right, so I have a ton to say, so let's just get into it.
I understand nothing.
There were two huge shows when this episode aired that inspired Michael, and apparently Steve Carell, when writing this episode. And those were Survivor Man and Man vs. Wild. I'm more familiar with Man vs. Wild because I watched it all the time when I had cable, but both of them are relatively aimed to show the same thing. With the right know-how and grit, people can survive through some pretty rough circumstances.
It was interesting because it was about a guy who would go out into the middle of nowhere and just try not to die.
Given that both of these were reality shows from the mid-2000s, I'm fairly sure the hosts were never in any real dire situations. In fact, Bear Grylls was actually exposed as a fraud. Interestingly, for Survivor Man this episode, the showrunners of The Office actually reached out to Lee Stroud to get his permission to parody his work, and Stroud said later that it was the highlight of his career to have his work reach this level of popularity. Regardless, the concept for these shows did tap into something within the American audiences, maybe a desire to return to the wild, maybe some fear-based paranoia that gave rise to preppers shows. I don't know, but I love the concept for this episode. And really, an episode that, no, actually a series that we were robbed of, is an ill-equipped Michael Scott out in the woods trying to survive. So I made a trailer for the series we'll never get to see, so enjoy.
Go out into the middle of nowhere and just try not to die. Try not to get eaten by an animal or be overexposed.
I'm in the interior of the vast Pennsylvania wilderness. I've brought with me only the bare essentials. Can be fashioned into a backpack. Now, these woods are full of creatures that can sustain human life. It is a little chillier than I had thought, so I have fashioned my hat back into my pants.
To either die or to survive. The choice is yours.
Robbed. All right, see, I want to spend a lot of time in the deeper meaning, so I'm just going to do a quick round of callouts here. For years, I never noticed the Stacy note stuck on the blow-up dowel. That's why Kevin goes crazy. Jim's Toby impersonation is awesome.
I don't know what the harm in that is. I don't see the harm in that. Well, it's a cake, Toby, so come on.
It does remind me of this callback.
I enjoy the tangy zip of Miracle Whip.
Jim does the best impressions.
A great That's What She Said opportunity was missed.
Well, if you take a look at this, I tented my pants.
Phyllis is totally laughing in this shot.
Happy birthday!
And there's totally a topless lady in the back of this newspaper in the men's room.
It's better to be hurt by someone you know accidentally than by a stranger on purpose.
Michael, during this sequence, is channeling his inner David Brent.
How so?
A bunch of guys in a tent making s'mores.
What's
Hello, I'm in Broken Mountain.
And we've seen this sweatshirt before.
No. I don't need it.
Okay, so with that, let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Cat.
This episode has a relatively low IMDb rating, and it's one of the most genius episodes of the season, if not the series. Branch Wars closes us out with this reminder that we shouldn't tread where we don't belong.
If you wanted to see me, you could have just called me like an adult.
Oh, no, I didn't want to see you. Not that I'm not.
Capitalizing on that, Carell seals in this message with a more positive spin.
No! No! No, Michael! No! No! No!
Sometimes knowing where you belong is a good thing.
Do I believe that Michael possesses the skills to survive in a hostile environment? Let's put it this way. No, I do not.
Both Jim and Michael spiral in this episode, and arguably both do so because of their overt confidence. Michael in his survival skills, and Jim in his people skills. Carell seems to be paralleling Jim's station in life with Michael's station in life. Michael's desperate to find meaning somehow now that he's been effectively stripped of all of his career prospects, family prospects, and his man crush has obviously rejected him.
Michael wasn't invited on Ryan's camping trip. Toby went, but Michael didn't go.
Ryan knew exactly what he was doing here. But in Michael's desperation, he goes out to find himself in nature, the way men do, I guess.
Janet has plastic boobs!
But look, this isn't in Michael's nature. He's never gonna find himself out in the woods because that's not Michael. And while he's out there trying to find himself, his heart is still at the office.
And this little guy may be Dunder Mifflin Paper someday. It's Creed's birthday today. Happy birthday to you.
While many of Michael's closing monologues end with a joke about him really not getting the lesson he was supposed to learn,
How can I be so illogical and flighty and unpredictable and emotional? Well, maybe I learned something from women after all.
this one, I think he did learn it. When Michael comes back, everyone's relieved, even Toby.
Happy birthday to you!
He didn't come back with this pomp and expectation like he did during Back from Vacation. He came back and immediately people recognized the element that he brings to the dynamics of their social group. And everyone is relieved to see him there. But for Michael, while he realizes that this is exactly where he belongs, Jim's faced, for the first time in a while, with what does his future hold?
10 years, you'll figure it out.
Well, I don't think I'll be here in 10 years, but
That's what I said.
In Jim's plotline, he unquestionably takes the reins of the office in Michael's absence.
well, I'm gonna talk to Angela and we're gonna see what we can do about it.
I don't care who you talk to, just make it happen.
It'll be Angela.
You tell her it's for Creed. She'll know what that means.
Jim's main mistake? Not having a firm grasp on the fact that not everyone is like him.
It's a pretty good idea, don't you think?
Do you think it's a good idea?
No. I think it's a great idea.
But Kevin's way of explaining the problem to Jim's approach is humorous.
I work hard all day. I like knowing that there's going to be a break. Most days I just sit and wait for the break.
But if you've worked in an office, he's not wrong. Sometimes the best part of my day is just sitting outside for a few minutes. This is something that Michael seems to get. As he said time and time again, that he's here to put on a show to get his people to do their work and also have some fun along the way. And while Michael flubs the execution from time to time, this is a great reminder that the grass is not always greener on the other side.
We're talking about nothing. Come on, gang.
Michael tried to go find himself, and obviously it didn't go well. He came back where he belongs, and that's it. The interesting part of this is that Jim, at the very end of this episode, is now faced with the idea, well, it didn't work out today, but where am I gonna be in 10 years?
Hey, Jim.
Yep. Phyllis called me Michael.
It's a great reminder for all of us to always be looking for what's next in our life. But sometimes we can't force it. And also, maybe we shouldn't go out to the woods.
Oh! Give him up!
There you go. Anyway, let's dish out some Dundies.
And then I gotta get him to the Dundies.
All right, the Dundie for A+ effort in this episode goes to Steve Carell. Writing this brilliant episode is one thing, but he created so much work for himself in the process. Carell basically has to carry the bulk of this episode, and he kills it.
I have hemorrhoid!
And Pam gets a Dundie too. I'm not really sure how to read her in this episode. It's like she knows that Jim is stepping into something.
I think it's a great idea.
But she doesn't tell him not to do it. Either way, I love it. It's great. But let's rate this thing.
This is the worst.
All right, this cold opening. It's something else. They explore some new ideas in this one. Like people liking to be around Toby.
No more s'mores. No more s'mores.
And Michael interrupting the talking head from behind.
Nobody cares. I need that room at some point, so just wrap it up.
Michael wasn't invited.
But overall, it's fine. I give it a 2 out of 5. I'm not really sure I'd remember this was even a cold opening if you brought it up to me. As for the episode itself, someone threw shade at me recently saying that I'm giving everything a 4 out of 5. And yeah, sure, that's probably right. So I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. Feig gets comedy, Carell kills it, and when we're away from the office, it's amazing. When we're in the office, it's amazing. Play slider roulette to test me on this. Go to Netflix or whatever you use to watch a show and just hop around on this episode. No matter where you land, within seconds, you're gonna be smiling or laughing.
Oh, can't go today because I'm donating blood.
How often can you actually donate blood?
Is there a limit?
I thought there was. Well, your body only has a certain amount.
But that's just what I think about Survivor, man. What do you think about this one? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you have to say. Don't forget about the trivia, the hidden Easter egg, the emoji contest for next week. And that episode is the Deposition.
Oh, awesome.
Such a good episode. I love season 4. Thanks so much for watching. The conversation's still raging over on the Discord. Join if you'd like. The more the merrier. And, you know, if you want, you can also support us on Patreon. That'd be awesome. Don't have to. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.